Hey, today we're talking about what's really keeping you from enjoying your marriage and how to fix it within the next 24 hours. This is a major thing because sometimes we make things harder than what it needs to be. And I want to make sure that you are not the person or the thing that's blocking your level of joy. Because sometimes we'll do that. Sometimes, going through life, we will be doing things consciously and unconsciously to affect the level of joy and happiness that we're experiencing in our marriage. Let's be clear. While you're restoring your marriage, you can enjoy it 100%. 100%. While you're rebuilding trust, while you are doing all the things to get your marriage back on track intentionally, you can enjoy your marriage. But sometimes we are doing things, you know, out of a habit, out of trying to protect ourselves. Sometimes we do things that will keep us from enjoying our marriage. So I'm going to cover a couple things and how you can fix it within the next 24 hours. Okay. Let's be clear. Any strategies I give you, it's always because of intentionality. Like you have to be intentional about it. You have to make a conscious decision about it. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about, or one of the tools in the strategies. Okay. So, one question: are you waiting for your husband to evolve into everything you want him to be? Sometimes we're resenting our husbands because he's not who we want him to be at that very moment. You know, when you married him, like I'm always telling my husband, I'm not the same 26-year-old woman that you married years ago. I've evolved, I've grown, my desires have changed, my needs have changed. What I'm comfortable with has changed. So as I do that, um, he might not fully know this. So I have to make sure that, number one, I'm explaining to him my new desires, or what it is that I want from him as a husband, and my expectations of marriage in general. Okay. You want to make sure that you're being intentional and honest. And another thing, be patient. You have to be patient with your husband as he's growing, as he's maturing, as he's evolving, as you are speaking to each other and letting each other know what it is you desire. It's not going to happen overnight. I think of it this way. I am now actively working out more often, 30 minutes, 45 minutes a day. The amount of time it took for me to get this way, because I'm thicker than a snicker. Okay. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to lose 20 pounds overnight. And it takes time. And not just that, as I've grown into this woman, it took time for me to get here. It took time for me to surrender. It took time for me to know my purpose, and to walk fully in it. So be honest with yourself and be honest with him, and be clear and honest about your expectations. What is it that you're now, of course, commitment, dedication to the marriage, that's a given. That's a given. Him doing all the things that he's supposed to do in his commitment to the marriage, that's a given. But as he grows, be patient. Grace is another big word, which is new to me. Grace is not my strong suit. Um, so yes, as you've evolved, make sure that you're being clear about what it is that you're expecting from him. Be very clear about your desires and how it aligns with him as your husband. Okay. So number one, are you waiting for him to evolve into everything you want him to be? Do not wait, because you don't know how long that's going to take. Like, you don't know how long it's going to take for him to grow and mature. So, but why suffer in the process? Why not enjoy the process? Okay. So stop and ask yourself, am I waiting for something? Is there a specific thing that I'm waiting to see, that I'm waiting to experience before I go back to enjoying my marriage? Okay. Number two, are you choosing to withhold forgiveness? Now, this is major. This is a major flaw that many women, they think if they're withholding forgiveness, that they're somehow fixing the problem, or if I forgive him, he'll think that it's okay. No, that's a lie. Like, your husband knows he's wrong, and you forgiving him does not make him say, "Oh, yay, I get to do it again." Obviously, we're ambitious women who are dealing with a man that made a mistake, and he's now turned from his sin and he's now building or working towards rebuilding the marriage. Of course, we're now dealing with somebody who wants to be out in the streets and stay out in the streets. We're not rebuilding marriage with someone who wants to stay out in the streets. Okay, you are intentionally rebuilding with your husband, and he is engaged in the marriage and is committed to the marriage. Um, but there's absolutely no way that you can rebuild a healthy marriage when you are holding on to unforgiveness. Because the only thing that can grow from unforgiveness is bitterness, resentment. You're holding a grudge, you're withholding love. There's absolutely nothing positive that can grow that's going to bless your marriage. Absolutely nothing. So, and remember, there's a difference between forgiveness and rebuilding trust. Those are two different processes. The Lord tells us to forgive. Forgive our enemies. We're supposed to forgive as we would want others to forgive us. That's just a given. That's what we're supposed to do. But rebuilding trust and reconciliation, those are two different things. So you have to make sure that you are um, forgiving with intention of this is what we're going to do to rebuild the marriage, to reconcile. Okay, so forgiveness, and when you are not letting go of, when you're holding on to that unforgiveness, remember that's a weight on you. It's pain, it's sadness, it's grief. You cannot experience joy when you're holding on to unforgiveness. That's just the way it is. That's the way that we're made up. So let's make sure that you are going into, see, forgiveness is letting go of the past, and trust is going into the future and allowing yourself to experience something new. Okay. You cannot experience the love that you want if you are holding on to unforgiveness, because unforgiveness is of course, it's a weight on your shoulders, but it's also a blinds. It's like dirt on your glasses. Just imagine mud being all over my glasses. And I'm talking about, oh, I'm trying to read this book. I can't read the book because my lens is now clouded and dirty and I can't clearly see what I'm trying to see. That's what forgiveness does to you when your husband is doing all the things that he's supposed to do to rebuild. You can't see it. So you also cannot enjoy your marriage. So, one, are you waiting for your husband to evolve into something that you want him to be? Two, are you choosing to withhold forgiveness? Remember, we're going to forgive. Number three, have you given yourself permission to enjoy your marriage? This is one of the most simple things. You have to make a decision that you are going to enjoy your marriage. Like everything that we go through in life, every heartache, every storm, every obstacle, it's all about you being intentional and making a decision that today I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Today I'm going to have an amazing day. Today I'm going to laugh. Today I'm going to love. Today I'm going to feel blessed. I'm going to walk in my blessings. Same thing with your marriage. Today I'm going to enjoy my marriage. Today I'm going to enjoy my husband. I'm going to kiss. I'm going to hug. I'm going to love on him. I'm going to do all the things that I desire in my marriage. Those things that you're wanting, because sometimes we have to say, you know what? Let's just wipe. I'm going to go forth in exactly what I want to experience. That's what I'm going to do in my marriage. I'm not going to now keep rehearsing the painful memories. And we'll talk about rehearsing the painful memories again next week. Um, but you have to stop trying to punish him, because you're also punishing yourself. First of all, the Bible says that we are one. So you punishing him, you also punishing yourself. Like point blank in the period. You're trying to withhold affection from him because you think you're teaching him a lesson, but you're also withholding affection from yourself. You're not getting the love and attention and affection that you desire because you're trying to withhold it from him. So stop trying to punish him and punish yourself at the same time. Just stop trying to punish, okay? Vengeance is not yours. Let that be the Lord's job. He got it, okay? He's got it all under control. So let him deal with consequences or with punishment. We don't want to call punishment on anyone. Um, so let's make sure that we're aligning with what it is that you desire. When you are wrestling with joy, you are limiting your ability to experience it. You can, when you're rehearsing in your mind, should I don't, I want to love him, but I don't want to. I want to go ahead and start rebuilding and enjoy this romance and do all the things, but I don't want to because I'm scared. You cannot allow fear to keep you from experiencing the marriage of your dreams. Yes, you can have happily ever after. The Bible says God didn't give you a spirit of fear. You experienced one thing, and now we're going to move forward from there. But you have to make a decision because we're not victims. You are not a victim. You do not have to just walk around in sackcloth and ashes mourning what happened. Now, of course, there is a grieving process. There is a season of where you're going through the mourning process because you're mourning what was lost when trust was broken. But that don't last forever. You now have to pick up your bag and decide, okay, what am I going to go, what am I going to do, how am I going to act, who am I going to be from this day forward? And this is the main thing, and this is where I challenge you. Who are you going to be exactly what you're desiring. My husband and I, we went through a patch. Look, let's just be clear, we went through many patches where I wanted to walk away. Okay, but that's partially part of my baggage, um, of what I've seen as a child and what I've experienced as a child and the heartache that I've experienced. Um, but I got to the point where I said I refuse to, number one, suffer in silence for the rest of my life. That's I'm not going to do that because if I'm going to stay, I'm going to enjoy my marriage. If I'm going to stay married, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to do all the things that I can to make sure that I'm smiling and laughing and feeling amazing every single day. It's a choice that I've made. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, you have to be who you want it to be in the future. For example, I want to be a happy wife. I want to be the wife that my children say, oh my gosh, I want to be like mommy when I grow up. I want to have a marriage like mommy and daddy. I have to embody that woman who's loving, who's sexy. I have to embody that woman who is affectionate. I have to be that woman that is desirable. The angry woman, always cutting up, cussing husband out, because let's be clear, some saints are still cussing. I'm not judging nobody because I don't know what poke the bear the right way. I don't know. I can't guarantee what's gonna come out of me, but you have to make sure that you are embodying um who you want to be. I started, doing my hair more, wearing makeup, putting the earrings on, Bath and Body Works and Victoria's, getting the perfumes and the thing to embody who I want to be. What does it take for you? I created a sanctuary in my bedroom, with scents and candles. What do I want to experience? Become that. Do not wait for this big magical moment. Don't wait for this aha moment where all of a sudden everything starts working properly and everything, your husband's doing all the perfect things. Your husband's not perfect. He will never be perfect. He will never align perfectly with all of your desires. Like he's human. The same way you're not going to align perfectly with all of his desires. But what I noticed was when I started to embody and be the woman that I wanted to be when he was doing all the perfect things. The personality of a woman that gets flowers from her husband every day and gets the love and all the wonderful things. Her personality is different from the woman who's always fussing and cussing. There's a difference. So I made up in my mind that I wanted to embody that woman. My phone started ringing. I had to become that woman. So now, yeah, I'm loving and I'm affectionate and all the stuff that I want to attract him. That's who I became. I became what I wanted to experience. So this is why I want you. My challenge for you: number one, create a list of what your happily ever after looks like. What does it look like? How do you interact with each other? What does your husband do? What do you do? What are the things that enhance your marriage? Make a list of all those things. Be it and let it be extensive. Let it be Cover all the areas of your marriage. Um, Date nights and gifts and surprises and movie nights. Make a list of all the things that you want to see in your marriage. Um, then you're gonna make another list. The woman that experiences all those things, what is her personality like? What is she like as a woman? Break that down. Is she sweet? Is she loving? Is she kind? Does she, greet her husband with a kiss? Does she end conflict peacefully? Does she initiate conversations of peace and resolve? Um, Now, so and then what I want you to do after that is you're going to become her. Whatever you have on that list, hey boo, whatever you have on that list, I want you to become her. What are those things? You're not time out for going back and forth with, oh, I'm mad at him. Oh, I'm happy with him. Oh, I'm mad at him. I don't want to love him. I don't want to. Come on. We too old for this. And we're no longer suffering in silence. And we will experience our happily ever after. Like, happily ever after is a real thing that you can experience. Yes, you can experience it even after infidelity. It takes intentionality, it takes work, but you can experience it. Okay. So you're going to embody it. You're going to become it. You decided to stay. Wonderful. Now we're going to rebuild and we're going to be intentional, period. And that's it. We're not going back and forth about whether you're going to be happy or not. Your happiness is your control. You have power over that. Even when my husband gets on my nerves, even when my husband says some stuff and I'd be like, you know what? I could say a couple words to you. We choose not to say the words. And then we decide what we're going to do. You have power to decide the level of joy you experience in your marriage. Okay. And another thing, ladies, stop withholding sex. Like I heard, I can't remember who the preacher was, but they said single people are having more sex than married people. Like think back to before you got married and how you're like, oh my goodness, we're gonna be having all the sex and doing all the stuff, and we're gonna be doing this and think back if you were single and still having sex. You were doing all the stuff. Now because you're mad at him, you're gonna withhold sex. First of all, remember, you withholding sex from him, you also withholding sex from yourself. We are not about that life where we are punishing ourselves because we want to be mad at him. If he does something wrong, you put your big girl panties on, and you have an adult conversation. You have a calm conversation about this is the problem, and this is how I would like us to solve the problem. Not we're gonna argue for 4, 5, 6 hours because I know how to do that too. I'm not speaking from the mountaintop saying, out thou and thus saith the Lord on high. I'm a little chocolate girl from the Bronx, so I know how to give you all the business. I know how to tell you what you not gonna do. Okay, and we can argue for 4, 5, 6 hours if we want to. But what are you resolving? Okay, so you want to be very clear about, okay, what do you want in your marriage? Do you want to be happy and feel loved? Or do you want to be frustrated and feel tense and unloved and separated and living like roommates? Because we don't have time for none of that. Okay. And if you have any questions about the topic, we're talking about what's really keeping you from enjoying your marriage and how to fix it within the next 24 hours. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop it and I will answer them before we finish here. Okay. But like I was saying, we don't have time for that. So you have to make a decision. And I promise you, it may sound easy. And I dive deeper into this in my coaching program, The Elite and Empowered Wife. I dive deeper into this, but it's mind blowing. You make a decision that I am going to enjoy my marriage. And I'm no longer going to allow the enemy, because this is what you do when you're sitting there and you're bitter and you're frustrated and you're angry and you're yelling and you're fussing and you're cussing and you're not enjoying your marriage and you're not having sex and you're not having movie nights and you're not having date nights and you're not, hugging on each other. Who's getting the glory? Certainly not God. God is not getting the glory. When we live our lives to honor and please God, that includes your marriage. That includes when you're frustrated. Now that doesn't mean you're walking around in your white robe all the time and you're just you're speaking in tongue all day, every day, and you're just holy. And no, you're going to get frustrated. From now until the end of time, your husband will get on your nerves and do something that irritates you. But how do you handle it? So it's a conscious decision that you make. You have to put your big girl panties on, have those clear conversations saying, this is what I want, this is what I desire, and this is what we should do to get us there. And part of that is you have to know what you want. You have to know what love and your happily ever after feels like to you. You have to paint that picture. What does your happily ever after look like to you? You want this, you want something, but you're not sure what it is. Take out a piece of paper, write down happily ever after looks like this to me. And please do not put on that paper, y'all never have conflict. You're going to have conflict. You're setting yourself up for failure. If you put on that paper, you never have conflict. Write on your paper, this is what happily ever after looks like for me. And that was the challenge that I gave you. Write it down. Schedule a time to have a conversation with your husband. Say, babe, this is what I desire for us as we continue to grow. Because happily ever after is possible, and you will not suffer in silence within your marriage. Okay? So I hope you've enjoyed this time. Just to recap, what is really keeping you from enjoying your marriage and how to fix it within the next 24 hours. One, stop waiting for your husband to turn into the perfect person. Stop waiting. Number two, choose forgiveness over holding a grudge. Number three, give yourself permission to experience your happily ever after. Give yourself permission, boo. You deserve it. Okay. If you're needing help with this, if you are ready to heal, number one, if you're ready to heal, and two, you're ready to create and experience your full happily ever after, then you definitely want to apply for the Elite and Empowered Wife. It's an amazing group coaching program that I have for wives who've experienced infidelity, decided to stay with their husband because their husband is committed to the marriage. This program is for women whose husbands have turned from sin and are now committed to the marriage. This is not for the women whose husbands are still out there, who are still running in them streets. This is not for them. Sandra, I understand. She said, my husband invited my family members to stay the weekend without having and discussing with me first. I would never do that to him. I don't care if it's the Obamas coming over. First of all, let me just put this out there. If the Obamas is coming over, baby, send them over. But this is the thing. That's where communication comes in. And that's where the difference in upbringings come up. For your husband, that might be something normal to him. That might be something that they just do, where they just come over and that's just who it is. Okay. People, whoever wants to come over just comes over. Me on the other end, see, I'm like you, Sandra. If you have not called and text and got a response from me, you can stand at my door and ring that bell for hours on, and you're not getting it. I'm not even responding. That's just who I am. I'm naturally an introvert. I love being at home in my cave. Like leave me alone. So I'm naturally an introvert. Like when the people come to deliver stuff, like the mailman and stuff, he gonna have to leave it on the door because I'm not answering. I'm not answering. But that's just who I am. Okay. So that's where you have the conversation. Now, my husband, he's the one, whoever wants to come, everybody come, it don't matter. Just come on over. So I understand your pain, Sandra. So don't see it as a personal attack or assault, or don't see it as he did this to bother you. He did this on purpose to make you mad. Because sometimes we'll do that. When our husbands are making mistakes, we'll sit there and say, well, he did this on purpose and he should have known better. You're right, he should have known better. But he didn't, unfortunately. So what you do is you have that conversation with him and say, babe, I'm excited. I love your family. I love them to pieces. But before we have them come over, can you give me, because me, I need like a week's notice. I need like, give me a week or two or three or four or five or a month. Okay. Let me know somebody coming up. Cause that whole, oh Richard, so and so's coming over today. It's like, look, so I'm gonna move out until they leave. Like, I don't, I'm an introvert. So just have the conversation with him. And be honest about, you just want to make sure the house is right. And that was part of my thing too. One, I'm an introvert, and two, I want to make sure the house is in order, because what you're not going to do is come to my house and be judging me. You're like, I'm like, and that's from childhood issues. That's my baggage from my childhood. Like, and not just my childhood, my adulthood too. Just, I want my house to look a certain kind of way when people are coming over, because I don't want the people to be in them streets talking about me. Not that I really care, but I don't want to have to correct nobody because they saying something. I don't want to give anyone opportunity to say anything. Not, and once again, I don't surround myself with people like that. Anywho, but I just like my house to look a certain way when people are coming over. Okay, I want people to feel comfortable. Like when you come to my house, I want you to fall asleep. To me, that's the ultimate compliment. Like when people come to my house and I've cooked dinner and they fall asleep on my couch, I'm like, yes, I've done my job. Yes. To me, that's the ultimate compliment. And it normally happens when most people, well, since we've had COVID, that ain't been a thing, but when people come to my house and they get so comfortable that they're laid back and they're taking a nap and they're feeling good, that to me is the ultimate compliment as a hostess. I want people to feel, now you're not climbing in my bed taking a nap, but you on the couch, because we got throws, we got pillows, we got blankets and stuff, so people could feel comfortable, and you know so anywho, I digress. So yes, Sandra, I totally know what you're feeling. Okay. So if you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the comment section. But I do want you to know the Elite and Empowered Wife is an amazing coaching program that where I offer women the tools, and I give women the tools that they need to rebuild. Oh, no problem, sweetheart. That's what I'm here for. She said, thank you for the advice. Where I help you rebuild your marriage, restore your marriage better than before. Okay. And look, let me tell you something. Even after infidelity, your marriage can be restored and feel better than it did before. And that's a whole other live. That's a whole other live. And maybe next week, if you want to know about that, go ahead and comment below, and I will make sure that my next live is about how come after infidelity marriages are restored better than it was before. Like if you want to know, just go ahead and comment, and I'll make sure I get back to that. I'll do that next week. Okay. So once again, this is Arrettres Hollins with Connecting Love and Marriage. I pray that this has blessed your socks off. If you're watching this in a replay, go ahead and comment with your questions. If you would like to apply for the Elite and Empowered Wife, go ahead, click the link in the description, click the link in my bio. Based on where you're watching this, just go ahead and click a link, or go to connectingloveandmarriage.com/what's new, WHATSNEW, what's new. Okay. And you'll see all the links that you need to get connected with me and apply for my program. Okay. I'm super excited about what our future holds. Like, I'm telling you, God is up to something in marriages, and God is using marriages. He's restoring marriages so that we can fully show the world what God's love really looks like for real, for real. So I'm super excited about that. I pray blessings over you and your household. I speak peace into your home, and I pray that you walk and experience your happily ever after. It's possible, sis. It is not too late, and you can do it. Okay. Contact me if you're ready to apply and work together. Love you. Have an amazing day. Bye. Oh, and share this. If you're watching this, go ahead and share it. Share it with a friend. Share it with someone else. I'm also if you're on my list, I will be sending a request for speaking engagements. If your church or your organization is having a women's event or a couples event, go ahead and email me, because I'm filling up my calendar for the next couple of months. All right. So love you. Have an amazing day. Bye.